Hey there, my time-trotting chrononauts! Today we're diving into the pixel depths of Chrono Trigger, the game that made time travel cool long before your smartwatch could track your steps back to the fridge. But hold on to your controllers, because we're about to unravel how a bunch of developers, probably fueled by nothing but passion and an unhealthy amount of caffeine, managed to create a game that's still celebrated decades after its release. And stick around till the end of this video where we put your Chronoverse knowledge to the test. Buckle up, it's going to be a bumpy ride through time, and I promise, no DeLoreans or phone booths are involved. So, how did a game like Chrono Trigger emerge from the primordial soup of the gaming industry? Well, it was concocted by the secret labs of Square, now known as Square Enix, by a dream team that could be only described as the Avengers of their time, if the Avengers were game developers and not busy saving the world. The development was helmed by Hironobu Sakaguchi, Yuji Horii, and Akira Toriyama. You might recognize Toriyama as the artist behind a little-known series called Dragon Ball. Yes, that's why all the characters look like they could charge a Kamehameha. The creation of Chrono Trigger wasn't just a job, it was a passion project, driven by the desire to blend the intricate mechanics of Final Fantasy with the narrative depth of Dragon Quest. But combining these elements was as easy as convincing a cat to take a bath. The development team faced technical limitations that were the bane of the 16-bit era. They pushed the boundaries of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System with a game that featured multiple endings, a complex story, and graphics that made gamers' jaw drops faster than a beat at a rave. One of the most intriguing behind-the-scenes facts is the development of the game's time-traveling mechanic. It was not just a gimmick, but a core feature that evolved out of intense brainstorming sessions where the team debated everything from the flow of time to the impact of player choices. This wasn't just about adding a cool feature, it was about creating a narrative experience that players could influence, making every playthrough uniquely theirs. And let's not gloss over the soundtrack. Composed by Yasunori Mitsuda and Nobuo Uematsu, the music of Chrono Trigger is iconic. Mitsuda reportedly worked so hard that he gave himself stomach ulcers, which is probably not the recommended way to ensure creative brilliance, but it sure adds to the legend. On the technical side, the team pushed the Super Nintendo to its absolute limits. They created a game that was not only visually stunning, but also mechanically complex. The active time battle system was refined to perfection, offering a seamless blend of strategy and real-time action, but more on that later. Now let's warp into the heart of Chrono Trigger, the story and characters. A rich tapestry that turns a simple pixel adventure into a timeless saga. The plot kicks off in a way that might seem cliché by today's standards. A boy meets girl at the fair. But hold your eye rolls. This isn't just any boy or any girl. It's Chrono, our katana-wielding silent protagonist, and Meryl, a rebellious princess with a pendant that apparently doesn't like to obey the laws of time. Their accidental trip through time sets off a chain reaction of events that spans epochs, from the prehistoric age where you befriend a fierce cave woman, Alia, to a dystopian future that makes your worst Monday look like a joyride. Each era is meticulously crafted to offer more than just a change of scenery. It challenges the players to think about consequences of their actions across time, a novelty that made Chrono Trigger a narrative juggernaut. But it's not just the time travel that makes the storytelling compelling. It's the characters who join Chrono on his quest. Take Frog, a cursed knight with an amphibian form, grappling with a medieval version of an identity crisis. Or Magus, the brooding anti-hero, whose intentions are as shadowy as his past. Each character is more than just a set of battle moves. They are deeply woven into the game's world, their stories unfolding with emotional depth that was quite groundbreaking for games at the time. The genius of Chrono Trigger's narrative is how it intertwines personal redemption arcs with a grand tale of saving the world. It's not just about thwarting the apocalyptic ambitions of Lavos, the alien parasite, it's also about healing the wounds of the past and altering fates. The narrative depth here isn't just about showcasing cool time-traveling tricks or weaving complex storylines. It's about giving each character a reason to fight, a past that haunts them, and a future they want to change, which transforms their journey from a series of battles into a quest for personal and collective salvation. But moving on to dive more deeply into the pixelated pool of Chrono Trigger, it's time to to talk gameplay mechanics. But let's be honest, what's a great story without some epic gameplay to make you feel like you're actually part of the adventure? This game took the traditional turn-based combat and gave it a caffeinated twist with an active time battle system. Imagine this, you're not just waiting your turn politely at a crowded deli counter, you're timing your attacks with strategic precision, blending the urgency of real-time decisions with the tactical depth of turn-based mechanics. What really cranks up the dial on Chrono Trigger isn't just the battle system, but how it integrates this with the story. Each character's unique abilities aren't just flashy moves, they're a direct extension of their personalities and backstories. For instance, Chrono's lightning attacks aren't just there to zap foes into oblivion, they symbolize his electrifying courage and spark of leadership. And then there's the combo techniques. Because why face the apocalypse alone when you can team up with friends and unleash double or triple the devastation? These combos require you to mix and match your party based on their skills and your battle strategy, adding a layer of depth to each combat encounter. Oh, and speaking of strategy, if you've strategized which YouTube channels to follow without hitting that subscribe button on ours yet, consider this your epic combo cue. Smashing that like button and subscribing is quicker than Luca's flame toss, and hey, it helps us more than a max ether in a boss fight. Beyond combat, Chrono Trigger features a branching narrative that alters based on your actions. Talk about playing with power. This isn't just about picking which characters gets the final blow for glory, it's about making choices that ripple through time, affecting the world in ways that kept the gameplay fresh and engaging. Decisions could lead to different endings, making each playthrough as unpredictable as a game of Frogger on max difficulty. Each element, from the fluid combat mechanics to the dynamic story paths, crafts a gaming experience that's as thrilling as it is thoughtful, proving that sometimes, to make an omelet, you really do have to crack a few epochs. But in the world of video games, success isn't just measured by how captivating your graphics are or how innovative your gameplay is. Though, let's be honest, those help a lot. It's also about how well the game sells and its impact on the culture. When Chrono Trigger was released in 1995, it was met with the kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for blockbuster movie premieres. In Japan alone, the game sold over 2.65 million copies, making it one of the best-selling games on the Super Nintendo. It wasn't just a commercial success, it was a phenomenon that showed the gaming industry just how powerful storytelling in games could be. But the game's impact stretched far beyond the confines of sales figures. Chrono Trigger has been credited with setting standards for RPGs that followed, particularly in how it handled its narrative and multiple endings. The game offered players a level of agency that was unheard of at the time, allowing them to make choices that genuinely affected the game's outcome. This wasn't just innovative, it was revolutionary, paving the way for countless RPGs to explore more complex, branching narratives. Culturally, Chrono Trigger has left an indelible mark not only on the gaming community, but also on popular media. It's frequently cited in discussions about the greatest games of all time, and its influence can be seen in various forms of media, from graphic novels to television series that explore similar themes of time travel and consequence. The game's music, composed by the legendary Mitsuda, has been performed in concert halls worldwide, further cementing its legacy as a cultural icon. Its sales performance and cultural footprint are a testament to its quality and enduring popularity, proving that sometimes the right mix of innovation, narrative, and a little bit of time travel can create something truly timeless. And now I welcome you to the time-twisting trivia corner of Chrono Trigger, where we dig up the lesser-known nuggets and hidden gems buried within this classic game. Get ready to test your knowledge, or maybe learn a thing or two that you didn't know before. First up, what secret character can join your party only under very specific conditions? And what are those conditions? If you answered Magus, the brooding anti-hero of the story, then you'd be right. To add him to your party, you must first spare his life during a critical encounter. This choice not only affects your party composition, but also alters parts of the game's story, showcasing the depth of Chrono Trigger's narrative choices. Next up, Chrono Trigger features a hidden area that pays homage to the developers. What is the name of this area? The area is called simply the Developer's Room. It's an Easter egg where players can encounter the game's developers portrayed as NPCs. This room allowed players to interact with these characters, providing a humorous behind-the-scenes look at the game's creation. And last, Chrono Trigger was revolutionary for including multiple endings. But exactly how many different endings are there, and what influences the endings you get? Chrono Trigger features 13 endings, a staggering number at the time of its release. These endings vary depending on critical choices made throughout the game, especially concerning how and when you decide to confront the final boss, Labos. Choices throughout the game regarding characters' interactions and story decisions also influence these endings, making each playthrough potentially unique. And just like that, as abruptly as a random encounter that you swear you dodged, we've come to the end of our time-traveling, epoch-spanning dive into Chrono Trigger. We've unraveled the mysteries, chuckled at the quirks, and maybe shed a pixelated tear or two. So whether you're watching this in 1995 or 2095, remember, Chrono Trigger isn't just a game. It's a portal to the past, a handshake with history, and a reminder that sometimes the most epic adventures come with just a simple trip to the fair. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to debate the nuances of time travel in the comments. Just, keep it civil. No temporal paradoxes, please. If you enjoyed traveling back in time to check out the history of Chrono Trigger, click this video here to see more from the Retro Reload. And as always, thank you for watching.